Hey guys, it's Jamie from Recovery Inspired Hope. And today we have a very important message for you. We're talking about something that I don't see talked about anywhere, and that is the danger of drugs right in your local gas station and convenience store. I have two beautiful women here, Kaylee and Lindsay, who have had experience with these kind of substances and have overcame. And we're going to talk to you today about, what these substances do, may or may not do, what they're used for, and also the danger and risk to youths in our society today because of these readily available, easy to get drugs right at your local convenience store. So first we're going to have Lindsay, you want to talk a little bit about your experience and what substances you used?
For me personally, the first over-the-counter, it was the caffeine pills, like rapid action energy pills. It was back when I was 16, working at Hardee's, and just, hanging out with my friends, and then got called into work and took them, and was immediately nauseous. It actually made me sick.
So you were 16 and you bought them?
Yes. They didn't ID me just because they're caffeine pills. I'd taken them, and then they made my pupils dilate, like really, really bad. And then I got sick, the cold chills, sweating, just nauseous, just felt awful. I'm very jittery. And then as I got older, it was like Red Dawn. That's more of a newer thing that came out a few years ago.
So Red Dawn. Now I've seen this Red Dawn at just pretty much every gas station I go to.
Yes, it's a mood enhancement, and it's a mood enhancement, and it's a energy drink, except for you only have to drink like a capful of it. It's pretty expensive, even for like the small bottle. It runs about like $12. But they say, and it's one of the most disgusting things you'll ever taste. It is beyond gross. And what it's actually meant to do is I didn't know it until afterwards, but it's meant to rev you really high for about 12 hours so that you will crash, and so that it's meant for insomniacs. And they would call people who work at plants that drink it a lot like walking zombies, because they drink it so much, and after you get immune to it, so you drink more and more of it, and then
so you build like a tolerance to it.
Pretty quick. And then when you come off of it, because it is a mood enhancement, you'll go through severe mood swings. It curbs your appetite. But while you're on it, you're very just naturally, or what you think is natural, just happy and in a good mood, and time goes by quick. So it seems very positive until you're passing out, walking around. You can't actually sleep. You get very irritable. And coming off of it, it definitely, as happy as you just were, you will be that sensitive and angry and just upset.
And is it like addictive?
I'd say it's very addictive, because then the nights that you don't have it, the time's slow. You're not as happy as you just were, so naturally you just want that little boost of just like, man, but it put me in a good mind frame.
Right.
But it doesn't give you the same like addictive feelings as if you were coming off of like recreational drugs. Like you don't have like the craving for it.
So it's not like a physical addiction, but it's
more of
like
a mental. Yes, which is actually more tricky and scary, especially for young people, because of their mental state so fragile. And that's most of my experience with it.
Wow. So now, did they ID you at all to buy this Red Dawn?
Some gas stations have. I haven't bought it in a while. It's just really depends on your local gas station and just how they run things.
And what about like I see when I go in the gas stations now, just like what looks like marijuana but is said to be like CBD.
The actual CBD, I'm not too familiar with. I haven't heard much references on it, to be honest. I know that like years ago, when spice was a thing, when the
Now,
synthetic
spice is
synthetic weed.
okay, and you can buy that at gas stations as well.
You used to be able to. To my knowledge, it has been banned.
Okay.
It was killing people. It was killing people left and right.
Wow.
Actually, I had personally, one of my best friends, her brother, his heart actually exploded when he was smoking it.
Wow.
And it's just, that is a very vicious, tormenting high. And they did away with it. And I do believe it's considered a felony now to have it. But I'm not too sure about the CBD.
Okay. So Kaylee, now what about your experience with these kind of gas station drugs?
Really, my main concern is that it's very, very readily available. You can walk in the door and it's in your face, because most of the time it's just sitting there on the counter, and it's ready for you to grab. And that's as far as Kratom and Red Dawn, and I mean, there's still caffeine pills. And I mean, back when I was in high school, Spice and K2, which are both synthetic weed, and it's really
K2, educate me here.
That is essentially, it's really potpourri, and they spray it with chemicals.
Okay.
And that is what
and that gets you high.
Yeah, if that's what you want to call it.
Okay.
It's like a altered reality. I personally have had experiences with K2 that I had smoked it and I had dropped to the floor and seized.
Wow.
And didn't know, my friend was standing over me like, what's going on? And I woke up and I was like, what just happened? She said, you were seizing.
Wow.
And that I'm pretty sure, like, in what you're seeing in gas stations now, that is gas station weed, I'm pretty sure that's just, they're making it in a different way. And I feel like it's worse now. Just like anything else that is man-made.
Right. So like it's more potent, because it's very confusing, because you see this this CBD, right? And CBD, I know a lot of people, as a massage therapist, I know lots of people who use it in their lotion to rub on them to help with inflammation, pain, joint pain. I know people who take CBD for anxiety and to sleep, and that's fine. You know what I mean? Like if that works for them, like okay. But then we see these things now, which is like this Delta 8, Delta 10, and it's like supposed to be like this marijuana, and it's supposed to kind of like be, you know, one molecule off from marijuana, so therefore it can be legally sold in the gas stations, which anybody can pretty much buy. Now it does say on the cartons, because I've seen, you must be 21 to purchase this, but I know for a fact that there are children in high school and middle school who get caught and purchase these items all the time. Now, of course, the dangers of, you know, in the youth, right, is changing the way that we feel at a young age, not being able to correctly develop our brain and learn the things that we need to learn, and go through the things we need to go through with a sharp sense, right? Because we're using these gas station drugs, and they're just kind of like numbing us, right? Just like when we were using like drugs, whatever we were, it was just kind of numbing us, and we weren't able to, you know, learn the things, and our brain wasn't able to mature and grow the way chemically it was supposed to, right? And I feel like that is such a big danger with youth today. What do you think is the biggest thing with youth today and these drugs, Lindsay?
I would definitely say that, for one, it is a social thing. It has become of the norm, just for drugs, either gas station, recreational. And, you know, then the biggest thing of, it wasn't that drugs were, I feel like the stereotype that got put out there was that it's not the fact that drugs are bad, but getting in legal trouble because of drugs is what's wrong. And so that they have found ways to say, oh, but it's legal. So then somehow it is making everything okay. And just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right. Just because you can legally get it from the gas station doesn't mean it's actually good for you. Doesn't mean that the youth should be taking it. Because like you said, for one, their frontal cortex isn't developed, so their consequences of their actions, that was the big part of the whole them getting in trouble in the legal system. So if they took that away, then it just made it seem okay. And even with energy drinks, those are just as addictive and have mood enhancements in them too. Becoming codependent on any chemical is very dangerous to me for any young one coming up in this world. And it's really sad how just of the norm it's become. And it's really scary. Personally, I'm a mother and I have a 3-year-old, so I can only imagine what it's going to be like 10 years from now for her, in the 10 years I've seen it progress. And yeah.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. That is, I mean, because it's true, like it's almost like they're so normalized, because you just walk up to the counter and there's this, there's like 2 particular stores very close to where we are right now. And it's like they have these big shiny cabinets and they've got all this fun stuff in it. Like, oh, what's this stuff? It's Kratom and it's Kava and it's these, different kinds of pills and different, pretty looking papers. Oh, and then of course you have the 50 different kinds of vape pens, right? Whatever's in them, whether it be nicotine or CBD, with cartoon characters on them. And I'm like, who are we really marketing to with The Simpsons on here? You know what I mean? Because that looks like we're marketing to children, to me.
And that's really essentially what it is. I mean, when you walk in and you see a Rick and Morty and you see a Simpsons, and I mean, I've even seen a Rugrats.
Yes, and SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yes.
Scooby-Doo.
Yep. And I mean, that actually, she just said Scooby-Doo. That was one of the K2 brands that was around when I was back in high school. And that's another thing. When it was around when I was in high school and when I was in middle school, and the fact that it's still around and nobody has done anything about it. And honestly, I feel like it's only gotten worse and more readily available.
Right.
Because, I mean, when I was in high school, they did ID you. I would have to send somebody in, just as I would have to send somebody in to buy liquor. It was that extra effort that you would have to put in. Nowadays, a 15-year-old can walk into a gas station and pick something out of that pretty shiny cabinet and put it up on the counter, and the gas station attendant brings it up and gives it to them.
Definitely. I totally feel like the convenience stores have gotten a lot more lax on IDing, even with alcohol. I know in Duluth, a specific gas station that has sold alcohol to high school kids right by Duluth High School several times. And it's like, man, this is just, I mean, I used to get ID'd for cigarettes, and I quit smoking a couple years ago, you know what I mean? But even in, my older age, like, I was always ID'd for cigarettes, and now it seems like nobody's really like doing that kind of stuff anymore. So I don't really know what the solution is, or who can step in to make some change about this, but it clearly is an issue that is not going away.
Yep.
Is only getting worse. And hopefully the right person will hear this message and stand up to do what's right about this issue of drugs in gas stations. So thank you so much for joining us on Recovery Inspired Hope. Make sure you subscribe to Jamie Tall on YouTube, and we'll see you next time.